My name is Ebony Harris. I'm a relationship therapist here in Houston, Texas, and also host of Sex and Relationship Podcast, Room for Relations. And so today I will be talking about money and how you discuss that in your relationship. I know we've all heard the statistic that the number one reason for divorce is money. People just do not communicate when it comes to money. A lot of people like to have secret accounts. Heard of that? People don't tell their partner when they're struggling. If one person is taking care of all the bills, they tend to be scared sometimes to share with their partner that they're struggling. So I just want to kind of give some tips on how to be more proactive and communicative within your relationship and when you're talking about money. It is a sensitive topic because we have a lot of different triggers and things that come with money. A lot of stuff from the way we were raised and the way that we saw money handled while we were being raised, as well as our things that we've probably developed as we've grown up. We have some insecurities. We have some, we may not have handled money the best, especially like in college. And so it's a fear that some people have to discuss it. And so this is just kind of a way to help with that and make it a little bit easier. So the first tip is to be proactive. So that means start talking about money. I'll say early, but not like obviously in the first few dates or whatever. But if you've been dating somebody for 6 months, I think I've said this before, I feel like you should be able to tell if what their spending habits are, how they are with money. You may not know exactly what their credit score is or what their credit card look like, but you should be able to kind of tell what's going on. But start talking early. If you guys decide to go on vacation, that's a good time to talk. My rule of thumb is if something major is happening within the relationship, then it's time to sit down and have a conversation. Don't wait until we're in debt together or we've already combined our finances in some way to sit down and have a conversation. So start early. If you're going on vacation, if you're talking about getting married, if you're talking about buying anything together, or even if you get a new job, anything like that, and you've been with somebody probably for 6 or more months, that's probably a good time to go ahead and start bringing up the topic, start asking questions. Again, we're not talking about, details of like, well, how much do you make and what do you, do with your savings, but maybe just small conversations about, oh, so you got a raise. Like, do you have any investments? Like, I've been thinking about investments. Things like, I've been looking for a savings account. Who do you save with? It's ways to bring up the topic without it being so, where they feel like you're intruding on their life. So that's the first one, is to be proactive, start talking about it early. And if you're making decisions like moving in together or getting married, talk about what that looks like for you. Some couples are perfectly fine with having completely separate accounts and leaving it like that. Like, we have separate accounts, we kind of pay the bills, somebody pays this bill, somebody pays that bill. What I found, and this is just in my experience in counseling and especially in premarital counseling, when couples kind of have it set up where we have a joint account for bills and a joint account for savings, and then we only put like maybe 70 or 80% in that account, and then we have 20 to 30% in our own accounts, they tend to do better because we're making sure that we have things for the family and we're making sure that we're spending that money for the family. But we also have our own money if I want to, buy you a gift and I don't want you to see that I went to Macy's 2 weeks before your birthday, or if I decide I want to buy me a pair of shoes and I don't want to have to ask, can I buy these $200 pair of shoes? So that's why that 20 and that 30% kind of helps out, because it's not like you're asking permission for everything, but you already have the money for bills, for savings, for any investments that you want to do as a family, and then you're allowed to have your money on the side. I know people have like questions about that. Like when y'all go on date nights or who pays and things like that, and that's just up to you. A lot of people that I know that do it, what happens if they go on a date night, they take it out the joint account unless somebody just really wants to treat or do something special, then they'll pay for it out their personal account. So it's different ways that you can combine your incomes, and again, these are things that need to be discussed and addressed before, as well as who's going to handle the finances. Is it going to be one person that you just put the money in an account and that one person is the person that's going to take over finances, or it's important that you continue to talk about it, and things need to be adjusted as time goes on. As we have new situations arise, then we need to adjust what's happening. We need to adjust who's taking care of what, or if I see something that's a good deal, we need to talk about that. So that's why when I work with couples, I usually say the first talk usually takes like a long time, because especially if you're really about to make a big decision. We're going to sit down, we're really going to look at our finances, we're going to look at how much money we're bringing in, we're going to delegate, we're going to budget, we're going to do all those things in the first one. Then every talk after that, I say talk maybe like once a month, because that's bills are due once a month. So it's a good time to just sit down at one point every month and say, hey, like, what do we need to spend money on? What are we, where are we spending a lot of money? How can we save some money? Things like that. So that's kind of the be proactive. Just starting ahead of time, communicating a lot, and being open and honest. And in that being proactive, you're creating an environment of safety and an environment where people feel comfortable talking about it if it does get to the point where like something bad happens. So the next tip number 2. So tip number 1 was be proactive. Tip number 2 is don't be reactive. So let's say y'all sit down to have that conversation about finances. You've never really paid attention. They seem like a good saver. They don't spend a lot of money. And you sit down and you find out they have 6 figures in debt. Student loans. Let's say student loans. I feel like that's like one that people are kind of a little bit more comfortable with, as opposed to like, I got credit card debt and a house and things like that. So let's say student loans. Maybe you knew they had degrees, but you just never talked about how they paid for it. Or maybe you knew that they had some credit cards, but you didn't realize that their credit score was low. So let's say something pops up in those conversations that's not very favorable to that person. You do not want to react in a negative way. We all have a past, financially, emotionally, sexually. We all have a past. We all have things that have happened that maybe we're trying to do better. Maybe, we have made decisions in the past, and that's just our past. It is what it is. That doesn't mean that we're going to continue to make those decisions. Maybe they've already started working on whatever their history is. But the point is, don't flip out. If you flip out, you are setting the tone of future conversations. If somebody says something that's overwhelming, that you feel like is a little much, take a break. Okay, I didn't know you had that much money. Let me take a minute. Let's sit down and think about it. We'll come back and talk about it, but don't be reactive. Don't get upset. Don't blame. Don't any of those things, because all that's doing is setting the tone that anytime we have a conversation about finances, I'm going to be on the defensive because I'm assuming you're going to react in a negative way. So that means if I have anything that's going on that maybe I need help with, or maybe we need to talk about, I might not tell you because I don't want to see that reaction. So again, you don't want to be reactive. You want to be more understanding, especially you're in a relationship and y'all are trying to move forward. Start thinking solution focused, more of problem focused. Yes, that's an issue. Yes, maybe we need to figure something out to work it out, but really start looking at how do we come up with a solution? How do we work on this? The next tip is communicate openly. So this goes into the not being reactive. Be open in your communication. If you're really in this relationship for the long haul, holding secrets about money is not a good idea. And when they say money is the cause of most divorce, I say communication is the cause of most divorces, because a lot of people are keeping secrets. A lot of people aren't being honest about where they are financially. If you are the person that completely handles the bills, and maybe you're providing for the household and you handle the bills as well, you may feel like a lot of pressure on you and a lot of stress, because if they ask for something and they're expecting you to pay for it, then you're going to try to take care of the house. Well, if you get yourself in a bad situation, there have been plenty of times when people have gotten themselves in bad situations and they did not tell the significant other. Instead of saying, hey, we can't get that slide for the kids or that pool for the kids because we have to pay this house note and we've been kind of on the edge, let them know. Too many times we try to protect our significant others. We try to prove how we can handle things. And the point of being in a relationship is to have a partnership, to have somebody that you can lean on when things aren't going that great. I mean, to enjoy times when it's good, but why be in a relationship if you feel like you're by yourself and making some of these decisions and handling some of these issues? So don't keep secrets. Communicate openly. Be honest. It's better to address things early than wait till it gets so bad where now at the point of like, you can't buy the pool. Okay, maybe they're upset. You got to talk about it. It's a fight. you get over it. But at the point where the house is getting foreclosed, now it's trust issues. Now it's, it's way bigger. We have to make these big adjustments, so address it when it's smaller. Don't wait till it gets huge. I say the same thing about therapy. People come to therapy once the shit is blown up, instead of like, oh, we've been kind of dealing with this for a while. It's probably time we go talk to somebody, but that's a whole nother rant. Okay. And then the last thing you should do is set financial goals. Talk about what each person wants. I think a lot of times when we talk about relationships, marriage, anything like that, everybody has this idea of what that looks like. Like, oh, we'll get married and then we'll buy a house and then we'll each have 2 cars and 2 kids. That may not be the case for everybody. I know plenty of people and some people in the scope that disagree with that wholeheartedly. That's not the life that they want. If you're in a relationship, you can't assume that the person that you're dating wants the same things as you. You need to make sure that you understand that people have different goals, or maybe even if they have the same goals, maybe you both want to buy a house. Maybe that's your goal. Maybe you want to buy a house in 2 years and want to buy a house in 6 years. So how do you reconcile that? So even if you do have similar goals, you have to discuss like, what are our goals and what is the time limit and how do we make sure everybody's goals are met? Don't discount or disrespect anybody else's goals. If they have a goal to go on vacation twice a year and you feel like that money could be put toward a house, that's their goal. Those are your goals. Now let's figure out what the middle ground is. Maybe we go on vacation once a year. Maybe we do budget vacations, while we're still saving for the house. Figure out how to make that work together. So set financial goals. Make sure that you're sharing honestly what your goals are, and then come up with a way to meet those goals and figure out time frames for each person or for each person's goals to be met. It is be proactive. Don't be reactive. Communicate openly and set financial goals. So that's it. Any questions? Any comments? Thanks, guys. Thanks, friends and roomies, for joining. I'm a relationship therapist in Houston, Texas, and host of Room for Relations, Sex and Relationship Podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. We have a new podcast where we were talking about having sex under the influence and consent and things like that. So it was a really good conversation. So if you're interested in listening to something while you're at work or on your way home, check out Room for Relations. And that's all I got. So bye, guys.